Beneath this sinister mountain, a man is buried alive, trapped by a cave-in. And from every part of a shocked and anxious nation, the crowds stream to watch the desperate rescue crews fighting against time, battering their way to the barrier of solid rock, while far below, a daring reporter makes his way into the treacherous, crumbling tunnel that is the only lifeline between the helpless victim and the outside world.
You'll be out of here by tomorrow morning.
No, I won't. They'll never reach me by tomorrow morning.
You'll be out of here in 12 hours. Hang on!
Tom Henderson
has his greatest role as the reporter who would do anything for a story.
You asked interrogative questions out of my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey kids, it's your old pal, ML Elric, and I hate to start the show with a correction. And if I corrected everything I get wrong, we'd never get to the rest of the show. But last week, I learned that it was not a closed primary, that I could have voted in Michigan's primary without being aligned with one of our two political parties. And so if you want to avoid the stain of either the Republicans or the Democrats, please vote in all the primaries. It's only the presidential primary where you have to make a party declaration. So I gave you some bad info last week. I'm sorry to tell you that. And I found this out when I was talking to Marc Grebner, who's done more to study political and campaign data in Michigan than just about anybody. And he had some very interesting revelations in my latest column for the Free Press, where he basically said, John James done, El Sayed in, and the election's over, which is kind of hard to believe. But if you want to get more on the politics, check out my latest On Guard column for the Detroit Free Press. Mark, did you end up voting?
I did.
Against somebody, though, right?
Yeah. I told you that before. I'll say what side I voted. I voted on the Democrat. There were more to choose from on the Democratic side.
But couldn't you jump back and forth, or did you have to stay?
I think you had to choose one side.
Okay.
One side or the other. I don't know.
Or you spoiled your ballot?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was more interested in the mill in my area.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of those Oakland County millages went down, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh boy.
The school mill. Yeah. It's crazy.
So now we got the progressives who want to spend every penny they can, and we got the people in Oakland County, which is becoming progressive, not wanting to give anybody money. I wonder how that'll work out. Speaking of people who give money, we want to thank Luke Nowacki and Pinnacle Wealth Strategies for sponsoring this show. If you need a plan, and if you don't think you need a plan, you're wrong. You need a plan for your retirement. Talk to Luke and Zach, and they will help you get on track for a comfortable retirement. DCFC LaRouge is coming back to town this weekend. If you want to get tickets cheap, you can get 15% off by using promo code SOUL, that's SOUL, at debtcityfc.com. Don't go to SeatGeek, go to debtcityfc.com, use promo code SOUL to get 15% off your tickets. I hope to see you there this weekend. And the Caju Cafe, where not only is there always a great time inside and outside, the beer garden's open, Muscle Beach and the Garage Bar are open. On Friday, August 21st, the Smiths United are going to be playing. It's Soul Night 2.0 at the Caju. We're going to have some special premiums for our soulmates who show up. We're going to hang out with you. Erica, Mark, I, and maybe Sean will be there to meet and greet and enjoy a great night under the stars. And we will have a link on our website, that's mlsoulofdetroit.com, to tickets for this show. You can get them through Eventbrite. It's a great show. Get your ticket, come out and meet us, and we'll have a great night dancing in the beer garden at the Caju Cafe. So come on out. And of course, our biggest supporter is those of you watching us, our soulmates who make those donations every month for as little as $5. Or make an annual donation, whatever works better for you. You get to watch the show. You get it before everybody else. You don't have to listen to those annoying insertion ads. And you get VIP treatment at our special events like Soul Night 2.0, which will be Friday, August 21st at the Caju Cafe. So we have a new soulmate. We'll talk about that a little later. And we have a one-time donor, which we're grateful for, who gave us some pretty good feedback. So we're going to get to that in a minute, but I'm really happy to introduce the wild man of Detroit journalism. If you're watching us, you're like, this guy, he looks pretty meek and mild. If you've read his memoir, which I did, A Boomer's Tale, Tom Henderson, a member of the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame, to say he had an unconventional career in Detroit journalism is showing a talent for understatement for which I'm rarely accused. We're going to talk about his career, his book, and some of his true crime books. Drew Crime, Mr. Drew Lane, huge fan of Tom Henderson. Also, Drew and Marc and Mike were featured in mentioned in one of
the Michael Fletcher book.
Yeah,
well, I forget what's the title of the book.
Messing It Up.
The Michael Fletcher book.
Deadly Affair.
Deadly Affair. Yeah.
Deadly Affair.
But you've written, some of the biggest true crime stories of this area because Michael Fletcher, who shot his wife, pretended that it was an accident while cleaning his gun.
Tom doesn't think so, as he says in the memoir.
Accident. I think it was.
Yeah, Tom may be the only one.
But you've also done Stephen Grant, which was a massive story here. Killed his wife because he was nailing the nanny. And then there's Marc Unger, who killed his wife because she was leaving him. And then the new one there.
Darker Than Night, which was about the hunters from the east side who went up north in 1985, may or may not have messed around with a couple of local yokels. And as far as we can tell, we're fed to the pigs. And it's a great story. And if it sounds vaguely familiar, you probably read about it because it just got solved about 20 years ago. But it was also one of the plot lines in Brian Gruely's latest book, which we talked about here on the podcast a couple weeks ago. So if you missed that episode, check it out. But that's a lot of yakking, and the guy who's got the stories to tell is Tom Henderson. Tom, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. Worth the trip down.
Yeah, well, we're going to start with a little sound so you get a feel for Tom. Tom gave one of the more memorable Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame induction speeches. I knew Tom because of his work with Cranes. He's worked for the news, for the Free Press. He's covered sports. He's covered business. You name it, he's done it. But the time when people really said, do you know Hendo? I'm like, well, I've seen the bio. I was like, this dude was off the rails at the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame induction ceremony in 2021. This is the kind of stories he was telling, which gives you an idea what kind of memoir he wrote.
And decided to replace the stress of work with the stress of doing cocaine day and night, buying it and selling it relentlessly for 2 years. At the end of that 2 years, I thought, this thing about stress hasn't worked out the way I planned. I need to, and everybody knew I was doing it. I was selling to half the staff at the Free Press and buying from half the people at the news.
So if you read Tom's memoir, which I suggested instead of A Boomer's Tale, it should be called Screwing, Dealing, and Running, because Tom has done it all and somehow managed to maintain a career. Tom, you're a different kind of cat.
Well, it was all unintentional, unplanned. Proof of that is I was my last semester of my senior year at Michigan State, and I didn't know what my major was. And I thought, well, at some point I got to graduate. I'm going to get married, and she's going to be in school another year. So I better get the book out and see what I need to do next year. So I'd taken English courses. I needed another year of French. No. I took some math courses. Nope, not enough. It was Vietnam era, so I'd taken a lot of political science stuff. And it turned out I was a political science major. And I went in to declare my major, and they said, are you a freshman or sophomore? I said, well, I'm a last semester senior. Like that's not how it's supposed to work. Yeah. So I was a political science major. You can't get unless you get your PhD or you go to law school, there's no point in having a degree in political science. So what would be the easiest program to get in, master's program? And I got the book back out, and it turned out to be journalism.
Hey,
so I applied for an MBA in journalism, and they accept everybody. So they accepted me, but they don't give you credit if you take undergraduate courses. You have to take graduate or senior level to get credit. And I wasn't going to pay if I wasn't getting credit. So I took senior and graduate level. that I was completely ill-equipped. You can't.
Yeah, you're jumping in on the deep end.
You can't write advanced journalism if you haven't had introductory journalism.
Right.
So the professor, the head of the department, Dr. Huff, called me in early one day in the second semester and said, Tom, why don't you do me, and journalism a favor and drop out tomorrow?
Yeah.
And so I dropped out tomorrow, and my stepdad drove up and got me and my wife in his van and drove us home.
And 50 years later, you're in the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame.
And
where's George Huff now?
Yeah, dead.
Well, that'll teach him. But you didn't kill him. That's not one of the true crime stories. Or did you?
No, and I even understood why he did it. My best friend's brother was the personnel manager at the big Uniroyal factory by Belle Isle.
Sure, this is going to be a part of the world-famous riverfront, but at one time it was a belching, stinking pot of hot rubber.
Huge. And he got me a job in 1971 paying $300 a week, which was a lot of money, to drive a high-low truck around the factory. And it was a blast. Everyone there knew I had a college degree, and all of these guys kept saying, if you stay here a year, you're going to be here for life. You didn't go to college to drive a high-low in a factory. So one day I called in sick, I put on a sport coat and tie, and I walked all over downtown Detroit, going to insurance offices, credit unions, banks, the telephone company, just trying to apply for jobs. And a few people let me fill out applications, and mostly they know. I'm walking down Lafayette, I see the Free Press building. I go, oh, the Free Press building, I'll apply there.
Yeah.
So I go in, there's a guard in the lobby. He says, you here for business or editorial? I said, editorial. They said, third floor. The elevator door opens on the third floor. There's an admin right there. She says, what are you here for? I said, to apply for a job. And she goes, what newspapers have you worked for? I said, I haven't. She goes, what journalism school did you go to? I wasn't going to tell her I got kicked out.
Yeah.
So I said, I didn't. She goes, you're here to apply for a job at the Free Press, and you've never worked in journalism, and you didn't go to journalism school? And she starts laughing. She goes, see that old man standing down there at the other end of the room? I said, yeah. She goes, go see him. He hires copy boys. I said, what's a copy boy do? She says, sharpens pencils, fills glue pots, and gets reporters their lunch. This is Friday afternoon, about 5 o'clock. So I go down there. He says, you can fill out an application. So I fill it out. He opens up his drawer, and he pulls out a stack about a foot high, and he says, just to let you know, don't get your hopes built up. These are the applications I have on file. So I drive home, depressed. It's going to be Uniroyal for life. I get home 20 minutes later. I walk in the door. My wife said, a guy named Fred Spring at the Free Press said to give him a call. I'm like, whoa. I called Fred. That was his name. And he says, 2 minutes after you left, one of my full-time guys quit without giving me notice. You want to start Monday? The job's yours. Whoa. I come in Monday. And I said, Fred, I got to ask you, you had that stack of applications. Why me? He says, two things. And this was Vietnam era. He says, you know how long it's been since I've seen a young man in a sport coat and tie?
Yeah.
And he says, the other thing is, he says, I've had a long career and I'm retiring at the end of this week. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to start another young man off on his career? That was 55 years ago.
Well, he had a little better read on the situation than Professor Huff. And your career is unconventional. Jumped around different jobs at the Free Press. Covered all kinds of sports. Covered the Red Wings. Of course, you're a prodigious athlete, softball player, hockey player. I don't know if you golf, which is
I used to golf at Metropolitan Beach.
Kind of a waste of time.
Par 3.
Okay.
Just a 7-iron and a putter. That's all I ever golf with.
Yeah, that saves you a lot of time. And write about some of the amazing people you've met, folks who remember the Detroit Express soccer team. Before DCFC, there was a big-time soccer team, a professional major league soccer team, the Detroit Express, owned by a guy named Sonny Van Arnhem, who was quite a character, and Tom was responsible for a lot of the work that exposed some of his craziness. Talked to Mike Ilitch just after he bought the Red Wings, who he'd gotten to know because he covered a softball league that Ilitch, professional softball league that Ilitch put a team in. Ilitch, for those of you who don't know, was a tremendous athlete, was a minor league third baseman for the Tigers, never made the majors, but wanted to buy the Tigers forever. First he had the softball team, then the Red Wings, then, of course, the Tigers. And you know, Tom has covered all kinds of crazy stuff and tells some amazing stories in his book about not just these people and how he got these jobs. Covered U of M football, but an amazing tale about breaking through that hard shell that Bo Schembechler had. Apparently, and this, I think we'll have to ask Sean when he gets here if this has changed. There were sports writer groupies, women who just wanted to screw sports writers. Not sure if Kurt Sylvester's going to give you a blurb for the cover of your book. He had a couple of adventures that got chronicled here. And Sparky had an amazing ride in a car with Sparky where he told you something that had nothing to do with baseball. And the stories in this book are just crazy, from starting off in basically an orphanage to bouncing around the East Side to,
Well, Frank Beckman, it was a star. He was doing sports rap this back in 1985. I was just freelancing at the time for the Royal Oak Daily Tribune. But Sparky liked me because I hung around all day and I knew stuff and I didn't ask dumb questions. And he would actually give me tips on, hey, here's what's going on. But then you didn't get it from me. Yeah. Okay. So one day, Sparky comes up in the morning and asks Frank, "Are you going over to the Chicago game?" It was in Sarasota. Yeah.
This is spring training.
Spring training. So, And he says, can I go with you? Because I don't want to go with the team because I want to hang around and watch the young kids practice for a while. But can I go with you? We said, yeah. So Frank takes the back roads instead of getting on the freeways. He takes the back roads through, farm country and orange country and whatnot. We come to a little stoplight with like 4 businesses there, and Sparky goes, "Oh my God, that bar is still there." He says, "My first year in low minor leagues, I was in that bar almost every night." And he says, "In fact, I learned a really good sexual lesson in that bar."
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And I don't need to tell you what it is, but or unless you want me to.
I want to know.
Okay. He says, if you're going to give a woman oral sex, you need to find out ahead of time if she's clean or not, because they expect you to go down and stay down. And if you get down there and she's not clean, you're stuck. So he gave us tips on how to find out if a woman is clean before you go down. And
you're going to have to buy the book to find out.
Man.
Yeah, well, 15, 18 years later, I'm on Frank Beckman's show promoting one of my books. And every time we met, remember when Sparky told us about oral?
Yeah. This is just...
That's excellent.
This is a flavor of the unconventional stories you're going to get in Tom's book. And there is a lot about journalism and about how crazy journalism was in the 70s and 80s and probably before that. And we're going to dive into that a little deeper in a bonus episode for you soulmates. But one of the things that struck me about the book, Tom, is there's lots of stories about how you kind of went from one journalism gig to another that changed your life. I mean, you became a runner as part of your journey through journalism, but you're also kind of I guess the kind people would say, a uncharacteristic guy, but you were kind of a spectacular dirtbag too. I mean, dealing drugs to other reporters and hanging out on the beach in Florida and sleeping under bushes and stuff. I mean, I can't believe you made it this long, because the life you've lived would have killed half a man, or twice the man.
It was funny. I played on these really good softball teams. In 1980, we were in a fall league at Softball City, and my team won a 320-team tournament.
Yeah.
You got to be a good team to win a 320-team tournament. 2 days later, I left for Las Vegas with 4 ounces of cocaine in my pocket to sell to my best friend from high school, who is now a professional poker player.
Right.
And he would do all the selling. I would make the profit and hang out in Vegas. So,
Nice.
hey,
Yeah,
who would turn down that gig?
You're kind of like Detroit's Hunter S. Thompson in a way. I mean,
a little bit.
Your journalism, your writing, your stories weren't as imaginative and as crazy and as fictional as his were. But in terms of, getting in a car and saying, I got this, we can cut it up and sell it, and that'll pay for us to do this. And then what are we going to do when we get to, I don't know, let's just get there. I mean, how did you live this long, man? I mean, it's just like, it's a crazy, crazy life.
For much of the 70s, I sold marijuana to free press folks.
Yeah.
for a couple of years, 79 to 81, I sold a lot of cocaine to Free Press folks. And in those days, they had a mailroom guy. And every day he would have a cart and he'd walk all through the building passing out mail to people. He also had bags of marijuana in
The
there.
candy man.
So as he came around, reporters, editors would, hey, you got a nickel bag? You got 2 nickel bags?
Yeah.
No, it did not cause you to have, a bad reputation if you were doing drugs.
Yeah.
At 2 years of being completely addicted to cocaine was like, okay, I've done enough. I want to start working again because I had quit the paper.
And you were kind of living off of whatever you could deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Free Press, if I could say, hey, I'm clean, hire me. No, they're going to figure you're still a cocaine addict. So I thought, what's the one thing in the world I can do? I'll run a marathon. I'll run the Free Press marathon. And I'll sell the Free Press a package of stories on first-time runners doing a marathon. I'll sell 8 stories over the course of the summer, and I'll run a marathon, and they'll know I'm clean.
Yeah.
I was never going to run another step. That's all I wanted to do was finish that one marathon, and I did. And the next morning, I woke up thinking, how can I take 10 minutes off my time next year?
Yeah.
And
it's a new addiction.
Yeah, and it was much healthier addiction,
Yes.
much better. And I ended up traveling. I did marathons in the Great Wall of China Marathon, Angkor Wat, Rome, Italy. Runner's World paid me a bunch of money to run a big spread on running in the Mayan mountains of Guatemala. I mean, this is fantasy stuff. When I was
and this is the running craze. This is when it was starting in the 70s, and Tom kind of got involved. There were some runners in Michigan who started magazines. They're like, well, we're not really journalists. Can you run these magazines? And Tom's like, yeah, okay. And then the next thing you know, he's waking up in a campsite in Florida, and he's like, oh, wow, I was screwing this mother and his daughter, and then I did an 8-ball, and now I'm going to run a half marathon. I'm like, yeah, I might have a Bloody Mary after a night out. I don't sit here and think, I think I'll run 26 miles, just the hair of the dog.
What led you to quit doing cocaine? Was it one incident, or was it you wanted a regular job?
I didn't want that life anymore. Yeah. It was 20 hours a day. The 4 hours of sleep was horrible. You're twitching. My friends were all totally addicted. I was their supplier. My best friends, my best coworkers, former coworkers. 2 years was enough. I didn't want to do this anymore. I want to go back to being. I was a kind of a budding star sports guy. I wanted to go back to having a nice career, but that wasn't. I couldn't just say, "Can I go back to having a nice career?" I was going to have to do something, and so I sold a few running stories to the Free Press. They had just started their own marathon, so they were glad to have a professional writer writing stuff about their marathon.
Yeah.
At that fall of 1981, my first marathon is when I got an assignment from a guy named Tom Ferguson, who's a legendary editor now. He's still going crazy on Facebook. He's 84 or 5. He said, "Hey, I heard there's this running magazine called Michigan Runner. Why don't you look into it? Maybe it's a story." So I got a hold of these guys, and I go out and interview them, and they were all teachers or principals. They were all administrators or teachers, about 6 of them, all hardcore runners. They put this monthly magazine together. They were selling a bunch of it. I interview them. They wrote the story runs. About 2 days after the story runs, I get a call from one of them and said, you did a really good job. We do this thing, but we don't know what we're doing. We're not good at it. Would you like to write a column every month? And I did that for like the next 34 years.
Yeah. Yeah. This is when there was money in publishing, where if you had good content, you could sell advertising. Now it's, Google and everybody's social media has destroyed that. But Tom kind of was the right guy in the right place. And you're I don't want to say transition because you do a lot of things. It was, I'd say, this addition to your repertoire, the true crime, was another one of these sort of lightning bolt things where it's like, hey, what about Tom? And
it was 2 lightning bolts. I was a sports writer. I was the only professional writer in town or broadcaster. None of them. I was the only one who covered Mike Ilitch's softball team. Because I was a softball player, it got me out of the office. I liked doing it. It was in the 70s.
Sure.
And I got to be friends with him. Well, 1982, he buys the Red Wings. the sports editor at the Free Press calls him. He won't return his answer. He won't return his calls. He's not interested in publicity. He doesn't like publicity.
Yeah.
And the sports editor calls and said, hey, I saw you wrote a bunch of stuff on his softball team in the 70s. You think he'd return your call? I said, yeah. He says, well, can you do a story? I said, yeah. I called Mike. He says, meet me tomorrow. We meet at a bar around the corner from his very first pizza place in
Garden City.
Garden City. I buy him lunch and beer. He's like, you're going to buy me? I said, I'm going to put it on the Knights are going to pay for it. Yeah. You know, story runs. They like it. The sports editor or the business editor calls me back and he says, you know, for a sports writer, that was pretty good, which I meant like, hey, we were always the best writers at the paper.
Yeah.
But I said, yeah. Suddenly I was a business reporter.
Yeah.
He starts giving me assignments. Sonny Van Arnhem, who you mentioned owns a soccer team, he was a complete scumbag. He cheated everybody. He was a liar. But he was always promising to buy the Red Wings or the Lions, and he was going to build a cable network empire. And his main job, or his only job at the time, is he owned a company that rented out space on mainframe computers to businesses that couldn't afford them. Well, that business was dying because PCs were coming.
Yeah.
So I knew his PR person, and I knew what a scumbag he was, and I knew she would tell me all the stuff and who I needed. So the sports editor or the business editor says, hey, Sonny Van Arnhem said you should do him too. I said, I'll be glad to, but it's not going to be what he thinks, and I need to recruit a Free Press reporter to be my partner because he sues people all the time.
Right.
Laura Berman was a rookie in the business department. I went to Laura and I said, I got a great story. And she says, oh, that's wonderful. Great. I got to be the lead writer. I said, that's fine. I get it. I share a byline. I share the money. Let's tear this guy down. So I go into Oakland County Court. I'd never been there before. They take me into a room and they said, well, that's all where all the lawsuits are. And there was he said, you'll find the Illich one there, or the Sonny Van Arnhem one there. He said, but the main one, he's in a very contentious divorce case with his wife. All of that is under file. All his financial records, everything's under file.
Under seal.
Seal, excuse me.
Not available to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where all the good stuff is. I said, okay, well, I go over and I see a small stack. Then I see this huge stack wrapped in a big rubber band. I wonder what that is. I pull it. It was the Sonny Van Arnhem file that had been misfiled. Instead of being under seal, they put it back in the public office.
Score.
And those days, they let reporters Xerox for free.
Yep.
So I went up and I Xeroxed like 1,400 pages. It was every
That's
one
why
of
they're
his
not free
financial
anymore.
It was his applications for things where he lied about he was rich. And then it was his things where he lied about, oh, I don't have any money. And it just demolished him. We just destroyed him. They did a cartoon cover of him walking on a tightrope, wearing a top hat, juggling a computer in one hand and a soccer ball in the other and falling off the high wire. He had to leave town. His career here was done.
Yeah.
Laura she was even tougher than I would have been. 20 years later, I Google him, and up pops a 20-year series of him screwing people in Florida, lawsuits, So that's 1982. I write that story. Laura does. 1999, 17 years later, they just start putting bylines or email addresses on columns. And there's Laura Berman is now a star column at the Detroit News, columnist. And it's got her email address. I sent her an email. This is like 8:45 in the morning. I said, Laura, long time no see, voice from the past, Tom Henderson. Let's go to lunch on me someday. She hadn't heard from me in 16 years. 15 minutes later, I get a phone call. I pick it up. It says, is this Tom Henderson? I say, yeah. She goes, this is Jane Distel. You don't know me, but I'm a literary agent in New York. Would you like to do a true crime book for St. Martin's Press?
Which is like the biggest publisher in literature.
Yeah. And I'm smart enough to say yes. And then I said, do you mind? How did you come to call me? I was a freelance writer.
Yeah.
And she says, well, I have one of my clients does true crime. I call and she's the Detroit News reporter. I called her and she says, "Oh, I just moved to Miami. I can't do it." And she said, "Well, can you suggest somebody?" And she goes, "Well, Laura Berman's like my best friend, and I know she covered the arraignment. It was a case that they wanted to. She covered the arraignment yesterday. Do you have her number?" "Yeah." So she calls Laura. "Laura, this is Jane Berman or Jane Distel in New York. Do you want to do a true crime book?" And she says, "Oh, I'd love to." She goes, "But I'm in the middle of a divorce. I have too much between my job and my divorce. I have so much stress." And so Jane says, "Well, can you recommend anyone?" My email is still up on her computer. She says, "Oh yeah, Tom Henderson. I used to do magazine stuff. Here's his phone number."
Wow. Well, that worked out well.
Yeah. Well, I tell Jane I'll do it. She says, "Well, send me a couple of magazine stories you've done. We'll let the people at
Sure.
decide if they want you." And so this is the early days of Google. So I Googled Jane Distel. Who is this person?
Yeah.
Turns out she was the agent on Barack Obama's first book and the agent on Hillary Clinton's first book. She's probably the most famous agent in New York, and she's calling an underachieving freelancer who's sitting on his porch in East English Village wondering how he'll get through the rest of the day.
Yeah. And it started a career. I think you've got, is it half a dozen true crime?
Five true crime.
And in the memoir, you write the one story you wrote, the one book you wrote that you regret or that you have some trepidation about is the Michael Fletcher book, where you think, I think it's A Deadly Affair. For folks who don't remember it, when I give you the broad strokes, you will. This is a good-looking young lawyer who was having an affair, beautiful wife, young family, was having an affair with a beautiful district court judge out of Warren. And it also turns out he was having an affair with another judge in Warren who was across the hallway. That came out later. And she was the first good-looking judge he was having an affair with, was giving him a lot of court-appointed work, which is a problem. He likes to shoot. His wife likes to shoot, or he got her a gun, whatever it is. They come back from the range. He says he's taking a shower. And while he's taking a shower, changing, she somehow twists her arm all the way around her back and shoots herself in the back of the head in their bedroom and dies. He's convicted. The judge is disgraced and disciplined, although not quite as harsh as you might expect. Yeah. And he's convicted. And I know people who covered this case, and I read the coverage, and it seems to me there's no way that she killed herself. Just the calisthenics she would have had to have gone through to shoot herself in that way. The fact that he was trying to get her out of the way. He was in a position like, how do I get rid of one of these women? All this other stuff. But you think she
was just
it's beyond thinking. I know. And here's why I know. At the time, the police.
You killed her?
The Hazel Park police.
Oh.
I would have, but the Hazel Park police.
Really? She was lovely.
Let me tell you, she was lovely. The Hazel Park police, right as soon as they arrested Michael Fletcher, it went to the state DNA guy or crime lab guy said there's DNA all over his shirt. It's blood. It's all over the shirt.
Well, of course, he rushed to his wife's aid, right?
Well,
or so he says.
The shirt is full of her blood.
Yeah.
Well, if he's guilty. Well, 6 months later, this was somebody visually looking at it. 6 months later, it actually comes back from the crime lab, and there's no blood on the shirt.
What?
None. Not a speck. It's blood free. And the guy who did that, it turned out he was the biggest oaf in the history. He was the worst expert ever. Okay. The defense's star witness is a blood expert who wrote the book for Scotland Yard and the FBI on how to interpret blood evidence. He used that case for the next 15 years on a PowerPoint as he went around to police agencies how to misinterpret blood evidence, how an innocent man got put in prison because of bad work.
But didn't they find a shirt with blood on it somewhere?
No. He he didn't have any blood on. Here's what happened. He calls and he says, my wife just got shot. And they said, sir, go out on the porch, stay on the line. He goes out on the porch. He stays on the line. 4 minutes later, EMT's there. They go in. She's still got electrical pulse activity, which lasts about 4 minutes. So they know it's only been about 4 minutes since she was shot. He's standing on the porch without a bit of blood on him. There's no bloody shirt in the house. There's no blood on his hands. He has nothing connecting him to that gun going off. The other star witness was a lifelong police officer.
So this guy just made up there was a bloody shirt?
No, there isn't a bloody shirt.
But I thought you said
the one evidence technician, he said he examined it. It was microscopic, but he saw it. Looking at it, he saw all the microscopic blood spatter.
Oh, it's good
And
eyes.
blood spatter only gets on there from close range.
Yeah.
There wasn't any blood spatter. It was void of blood spatter.
So he lied or he was mistaken?
He was completely an idiot.
Okay.
I don't think he lied. I think somehow it was like his first big case.
Okay.
And
so now he's Quincy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was his first big case.
There's a dated reference.
So she's only been shot 4 minutes. He doesn't have any blood on him. There's no bloody clothes of his in the house. He didn't change. She shot at close range. There's blood all around the walls. What they think happened, what I'm sure happened, they had the gun there. They'd gone to the gun range. They had a hardwood floor. She had socks on. She stood up with the gun in her hand, slipped, fell, and the gun discharges.
So there's a gun safety tip, folks.
Yeah. When I interviewed the jurors.
But didn't she
afterwards.
also find out about the affair?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean,
And she was newly pregnant. I mean, the odds that she would...
His theory was that she committed suicide, right?
No,
Because she was upset.
This was an accident. Pure and utter accident.
But don't you need a lot of force to pull that trigger on a gun like that? I mean...
You fall, he didn't do it. Then you have to figure out how else did it happen.
But he's still in the jug, right?
Well, I went and interviewed the foreman... The TV, I forget what national TV crew was there filming him. They had bought champagne and made dinner reservations because they knew the jury was going to come back innocent, not guilty.
The jury did a bunch of reenactments, and they could never reenact the accident or
and
the
they
suicide.
did, and that was a violation of procedure too. They get the gun. They're in the jury room, and the head juror pretends to shoot himself.
Jesus!
And then throws the gun, but he didn't land where it really landed. See, that gun, it's there, but it should have been over there. And like, you wait a minute. So I go and interview the jury foreman afterwards, and he says, we hated the witnesses for the prosecution. We hated the police were inept. Everybody involved in that case was completely batshit inept. Oh, excuse me.
No, you can say
batshit.
Okay.
I mean, you just told us about Sparky going down on some chick in Florida 50 years ago. We're good with bat shit.
So the jury foreman says,
That's how his hair turned white.
We didn't believe the police. We didn't believe the crime technicians. They had a horrible case. We didn't believe their theory. That their theory was he killed his wife so the judge wouldn't find out that his wife was pregnant.
Oh.
We didn't believe. I said, well, if you didn't believe the police, you didn't believe the chemist, you didn't believe the theory, why did you come up? And he said, well, you'd hate to. What if he did do it? You'd hate to just let him free.
Oh, shit.
He's a young guy. He'll be out in 10 years or so.
I think he's still in.
Well, the judge, this was the case. It was argued completely as a first-degree murder. They came back with...
So that's life, mandatory.
They came back with second-degree murder, which shocked everyone. How can it be second-degree? Well, their thing was, well, if you do it on second-degree, he'll only go to jail for 8 or 10 years. The judge says it might be second-degree, but here's the sentence I'm doing, and if he comes up for a parole, I'm saying never.
Wow.
I'm giving him a life sentence.
Wow.
And so...
I don't want to bog us down in this case, but to me, I would be more suspicious if there was no blood on him, because if I come out of the shower or the bathroom or wherever and my beautiful wife is laying on the floor with blood coming out of her head after I heard a giant bang, I'd grab her and say, honey, can I...
Maybe there was a glove on his hands. I'm just talking about the clothes he was wearing. and the way the blood spatter evidence
Okay.
was clear.
Okay.
It was all on the walls. It was on the ceiling. You get shot in the head with blood, microscopic blood flies everywhere.
Okay.
If he had done it, he would have had blood on his shirt. He didn't.
Jeez, I would have had
And he
blood on
didn't
my
have-
shirt from picking her up and saying,
And
honey.
there was no
Yeah.
shirt hidden in the place. They
Yeah.
went through it. There was no shirt hidden. There was nothing of his that had blood on it.
Okay.
And he it was my first true crime book, and I was like, damn, I really was hoping to write a book about he got off.
Yeah. By the time you were done, yeah, you
I got
came
to
to
know
a
his,
different
I got to know his
conclusion.
parents and his sister,
Sure.
and her parents.
What about her family?
They were the nastiest,
Oh.
rudest people
Okay.
ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk for a minute about Darker Than Night, the one about the hunters that got found. And there's two reasons I want to talk about it. One reason why it's a great book, but second of all, it has one of, I think, the best lines I've ever read in true crime. And I'm going to mangle it, so I'll apologize right now. But these are some up north hillbilly types. These are the folks you expect to find in the Ozarks, but they're actually in northern Michigan. And there's a line in there you write about how the family had intermingled so much that there was one woman that they were involved with where you said if you asked her whether her father or her mother was her cousin, she could honestly say both. It's just like, what? I read it a couple times. I'm like, that's some hillbilly shit right there.
These were like characters out of a Coen Brother movie, and
Yeah.
in fact, they fed the guy to a wood chipper well before that happened in Fargo.
To Steve Buscemi. And these are little guys. These guys like 5 foot, 5'9", 130, 150 pounds. The kind of guys in a bar who come up to you and talk shit. You'd be like, hey, beat it, twerp. And then you go out in the parking lot and there's like 17 of their kinfolk there.
Yeah.
And they're the kind of guys who, when you go down, they don't stop beating you. Then they just see if they can.
Well, they got mad at these deer hunters who were in the wrong bar up in the Mayo area. And the guys got drunk and they were belligerent and they were hitting on the barmaids and they pissed people off and they got kicked out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, these guys, hey, I know we'll make this right.
Yeah.
We'll get in our cars, follow them down the road, pull their car off the road, get out and beat them to death with baseball bats.
Yeah. Or pipes or whatever it was
Yeah.
that makes the head go ploosh like a melon.
Yeah.
It's a great book. It's chilling. Is a dogged investigator. I will say the one thing that I was revelatory to me when I read the book is that they actually knew from the beginning who did this shit. I mean, they kind of knew from the rip, but they couldn't get a witness. And then when they finally got the conviction, which was actually brought about by an ex-wife of one of Laura Berman's husbands, but anyways, it's a little inbred there too.
Yeah.
But at any rate, they couldn't figure out what date they were killed. They couldn't figure exactly where they were on the hours leading up to when they were killed. There was absolutely no physical evidence. There was one eyewitness who was a drug addict whose story changed over the years, and the jury chose to convict these guys in 10 minutes.
They convicted him without any bodies.
Yeah.
No
evidence. They couldn't find the car. They couldn't find the bodies. They couldn't find nothing.
Bronco Lesniewski, the cop who inherited the case, and it had been famous. There had been on all the crime TV shows, and tips were coming in
Unsolved
from
mysteries
California. And police departments around the country getting involved because somebody said, "Hey, we saw these, the missing deer hunters here." He inherits the job as head detective in Taos. The guy that's retiring opens the closet door, and there's all these papers on the ground, and he says, "That missing deer hunter case is still officially open. Nobody's going to expect you to do any work on it. That's where all the paperwork is on the floor in the closet." Bronco said to me, "I was so pissed off. If that was my relative and I found out the case was on a floor in a closet." So working on his own time, because he was one guy and he had a big area to cover. Before and after work, he got all that paperwork, put it together in chronological order, made a cross-referenced where all the names were on different pages.
Right.
And then he started going out in concentric circles from the last
and then
bar they were
he put
seeing.
it into binders.
Yeah.
And not only did he put it into binders, he made copies of the binders. So if a prosecutor ever wanted to take a look, he'd be like, "Here's your binder."
Or if somebody like me shows up,
Right?
Because I was told it's a great case. He's the best cop in the state. I get he gets another state cop that I know recommends he talk to me. I go visit him. He's telling me this stuff. I said, if I have to go through, filing a filing to get FOIA. He goes, "Oh, you don't have to do that. I thought somebody like you might show up someday." He says, "I made an extra copy for you."
Well, yeah. This guy's a dream. Well, we're talking to Tom Henderson, the author of Darker Than Night, a bunch of 5 great true crime stories, and his new memoir is out, A Boomer's Time. I got one question about this before we let you go, Tom. But first, tell people where they can find your memoir.
The memoir is I worked for St. Martin's Press, and a book sold well. I called my agent, the world famous agent. I said, "I'm doing a memoir." She said, "Stop right there. Doesn't matter how well you sold your true crime books. You are not famous. You're not a social media influencer. No mainstream publisher is going to publish your book. You got to self-publish."
But it's a good story.
So
why doesn't that count for anything?
I self-published. So I got recommendations on a firm that helps, and they were great. It didn't cost nearly as much as I thought. It's now available at Amazon.
Okay.
It's Kindle, paperback, hardbound.
Okay. So here's what I want to ask you about A Boomer's Tale. And this may sound critical, so I'm going to apologize from the jump, but Darker Than Night, a tightly written book, chronological. I mean, it's got a logical flow. A Boomer's Tale, you jump all over the place. I mean, we're in the 50s, then we're in the 70s, then we're in the 80s, then we're in the 90s, and we go back to the 50s. It's all the stories are amazing. So I read to the end.
Yeah.
But as someone who has read your other book and thought, your story has a pretty amazing arc, this thing skips all over. I was like, did Tom need an editor? Is there a reason Tom did it this way?
Here's the reason.
It's almost like a fever dream.
Here's the reason. And it's interesting you bring it up because one of my coworkers, Jeanette Smith, was a coworker of mine at Cranes for 16, 17 years. She now has her own marketing firm in downtown Detroit. She's president of her firm. She posted a review 2 days ago, and it was the longest, best review I've had. And she said, "The thing I like best is it's not chronological. You don't know what's going to happen the next page you turn."
That's very true.
And I called her and I said, "Here's what happened." I said, "I started doing this and I got real early on into it. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to say, oh, and here's what happened the next year and the next year and the next year and take people through 70 years in chronological order. I'll start them and then I'll say, oh, and here's some great people I met. And then I'll get Bo Schembechler and Sparky and I'll tell those tales."
So this was intentional. You're not back on the booger sugar.
It was intentional as I was doing it.
Okay.
And I thought, what'll happen? I'm just going to do it this way. And then I'll throw in, hey, here are my 5 true crime books, a chapter on each of them. And and Key West and drugs. I said, when I get done pouring it all out, then I'm on the computer. I'll just move stuff around and I'll make it more chronological. I got done and I said, you know what? I like it. It's crazy, but you're a little tired of me talking about drugs. Well, all of a sudden it's talking about me breaking the news on Kirk Gibson going to sign with the Tigers.
Yeah.
Or Gordie Howe giving me the biggest scoop of my career that Ted Lindsay isn't going to sign him. Okay, we'll do that. And then we'll go back to Key West. You can't go wrong talking about Key West and Key West characters. So
there's some interesting folks you met, sneak thieves, and it's
400-pound gay Samoan piano players.
You get a Samoan in there, all of a sudden you're in Hunter S. Thompson territory. But yeah, it's a wild ride. I read it on my phone, which is I hate reading on my phone. But I will tell you, the fact I was able to read the whole thing on my phone tells you that it is a page turner. And when you get to the end of it, you say, this is an amazing guy, bit of a degenerate, kind of reformed. And in the end, Tom kind of addresses some of his episodes with a little reflection and a little self-analysis, and I don't want to spoil that for folks. I want you to see that yourself, but it is a, how do I want to say this? You don't you don't cut yourself any slack. I mean, the things you did, you say you did them. You don't try and polish them. And there's a few things in there where I'm like, I don't know if I would share that. And Tom's like, well, whatever.
There's a lot of folks out there who know me from various stages, and I didn't want them saying, oh, how come he didn't talk about that?
Yeah. I think there's a few people who know you who said, I wish you hadn't talked about that.
And there's stuff I did keep out that there was like, oh, thank God that didn't get in.
Well, that's the sequel.
Yeah, that's the sequel.
We'll see how this one sells.
Do you know Joanne Coogan gave?
I don't.
Okay. She...
Did you run with her or screw her or deal drugs to her?
She's married to Keith Gave, who
who
followed me.
I'm sorry, I know Keith.
Yeah, and we were friends. She was a news staffer, and we were occasional drinking buddies in the Anchor Bar. So I knew her before she started dating Keith. Keith read the book, gave it a great review.
Okay,
she read it, gave it a great review. And what I like is instead of just people telling me, and then I post it to my same friends at Facebook who keep seeing me post about myself, she posted to her feed her review about this book. I get an email like a week later, 10 days later, from a guy I don't know. And he says, I got your email from Joanne. He says, I read her review and I just had to have your book. So I got it. I got it on a Friday night and I finished it Sunday afternoon. And he said, I was depressed. I was done with it.
Wow.
And I'm like, you did 500 pages in a day and a half?
I will tell you, Tom, I ground through it in a couple of days up on Burt Lake where there's a lot of other things to do. So you'll get through it fast.
Was it tough to name names when you told stories about people? I
left a lot of names out. It wasn't, I wish I would have put a couple more in.
Yeah.
There's a couple that I wish I would have not put in. I didn't have an editor. My options were, here's what it's going to cost. We'll edit your book. And I'm like, no, I've been an editor. I think I'm better at it than you are. I just want a proofreader. I want you guys to check my commas and my spelling.
Make sure I spelled hepatitis right.
Yeah. If I could
cunnilingus.
If I could do it again, I would put a couple more cool things in and take a couple of them out.
Okay. Well, just so you know, Radio Flash says hello, by the way. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Somebody I know that knows you.
Okay.
Says hello.
I'll tell you that story off the air.
Well, it's in the book. I mean, part of it's in the book.
You didn't hear the good part.
Oh, all right.
Radio. I think I remember the part about Radio Flash had a certain proclivity for the Bolivian.
You don't have to give it away.
Anyway, that's Tom Henderson, author of A Boomer's Tale, a slew of true crime novels and a pretty impressive body of journalism. When you read it, and Tom, Tom's still running. He kept the healthy addiction and has put together a kind of a peaceful life for the beginning. Very traumatic beginning to his life, tumultuous all the way through. Overcame things. When opportunity came, he seized it. It's quite a read. So I have no problem encouraging you to check out A Boomer's Tale by Tom Henderson.
Well,
Tom, thanks for sticking around, and we're gonna cut a bonus episode where he tells us a little bit more about those crazy days of journalism, just for you soulmates. But congrats on the book.
One last sentence. I turned 78 a couple weeks ago. I run every day with my dog in the woods up north. I got a 95-pound Great Pyrenees.
Still looking for that Bronco.
I got bruises on my hand like our presidents. Yeah, because I have the leash wrapped, and you never know when she's going to pull you one way or another.
Great Pyrenees weighs more than you.
It's not from shaking hands.
She's light for a Pyrenees. She's only 95 pounds. We run every day. We go mushroom hunting every day. I haven't seen a drug or a marijuana stick in a long time.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, he lived to tell the tale, and it's a compelling one. So that's A Boomer's Tale by Tom Henderson. Check it out. You can find it on Amazon. And if you read it, let us know what you think. Tom, thanks for coming on. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Here's to more adventures.
It was worth the 4-hour drive down and the 4-hour drive back.
Yeah, just don't try putting in for mileage. Pinnacle Wealth Strategies can help you to navigate the complex world of retirement planning. You'll work for a few decades, and you'll be retired for a couple of decades. So if you're not putting in the time to create that retirement pile of cash for you, somebody should. Zach and Luke have printouts and stuff like real professionals. Confused by the financial acronyms and jargon like SPX, DJI, LIMRA, BOAI, TLT, FED. They can explain it all so that illiterates who can barely count to 10, like Jim, can understand. Call or text Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748. That's 248-663-4748, because when you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. member FINRA-SIPC.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc.
You know what that is, Sean?
Breaking news.
Hey, Sean's here.
It's DCFC up. Sean was at the other football.
Are we welcome here though? Because I went up for a little men's, a little potty break. Can I say that?
A little men's.
Whatever, a little potty break, a little
gross.
bathroom break, and the proprietor of the studio and the property and all that.
I don't
That's
like
the
this.
CEO of the Red Shovel Network.
Hey, how'd it go? It's like, oh yeah, it's great. They did a little bonus episode, and we gotta finish the rest of the show. Oh great. Oh great! Like, get the fuck out.
Wait,
you know what I mean? What the hell are you still doing here?
It's funny when Marc and I showed up. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait till you guys make some great podcasting." And then our guest Tom Henderson shows like, "Oh, Tom's here. That's going to be excellent." Sean shows, okay.
I guess.
I think he's worried about the post show workload and how that might delay the other part of the day.
Yeah. No, I thought that was a nice welcome.
I don't think it was a shot at you.
No, he was all happy to see me, but then when he found out what
Elric.
was going on, then he was like, yeah.
Well, maybe we should get to the news.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Quit.
Well,
yeah.
The defense.
Jerk.
The defense shone in a 1-0 win for DCFC Le Rouge over FC Tulsa. Darren Smith scored his 12th goal. He is leading all goal scorers in the USL. And Carlos Herrera, 7th clean sheet. Of course, 1-0. That's a shutout to those of you who haven't watched Ted Lasso, the original or the reboot, Sean.
I thought it was 0.
It could be.
Mm-hmm.
Clean. These are called.
But go ahead and say nothing.
Clean sheet.
These are called synonyms.
Yeah.
Yeah, the terms that mean the same thing. Like when you write about basketball and you call them cagers.
I've never said that in my life.
Or you write about
hardwood.
lacrosse and you call them laxers.
Waxers?
Laxers.
I thought waxers. Isn't that what you do with your hockey stick?
No. Laxers, like the laxer.
What do you have in there, by the way? You
Jeez.
keep shaking.
I know.
Do you shake your water?
What's in there?
Is there some kind
It's
of
also making you cough.
Yeah. Do you
it's
have
lemon.
something in there?
It's lemon.
Lemon?
Gross.
And all good
Okay.
things. When I rub it 3 times, my wishes come true. And then
What-
Sean
rub
walked
what?
in. I said, I must have rubbed it twice.
What are you rubbing?
One more time. This Saturday, DCFC will be back in Hamtramck at Keyworth when they take on Loudoun United at 7 p.m. It's youth night at Keyworth, which means we're going to have face paintings, balloon art, and a pre-match book swap. Only one loss at home. So if you want to go see Le Rouge victorious, check them out. They're 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. If you can't catch them this Saturday, the 15th, catch them on Saturday, August 22nd, when they take on the Tampa Bay Rowdies, who are 1st in the East Division right now. That's a prime number matchup, Sean. Number 3 versus number 1. You know, of course, what prime numbers are. It's going to be.
I don't remember.
Oh.
I don't really care. I don't think our listeners do either, but go ahead.
Okay. Really not how to build up.
No, I mean about prime numbers.
Oh, yes, of course not. And it's Motor City night at Keyworth on the 22nd. So if you want to save 15% on those tickets, go to debtcityfc.com and enter promo code SOUL.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
So this week's geek is a funeral home in Chicago, and I have to specify that because this happens from time to time. They found 50 decomposing bodies in the funeral home, where this funeral home was supposed to take care of the remains of people and their loved ones, expected, paid handsomely, I'm sure, for the service, and found out, no, it actually didn't happen. And this is a funeral home where they had just gotten in trouble a year before for not meeting standards. And this happens all over the country all the time. And I just wonder, wouldn't you know that this wasn't being taken care of because of the smell? I mean, 50 decomposing bodies, that's got to be pretty funky. Right?
I would think you would, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
very
Everyone knows the
unpleasant.
smell of death.
And you may remember a decade or so ago, there was a funeral home on Detroit's
yeah.
east side where they had the remains of babies, fetuses, and little infants packed up in the roof of this place that they weren't taking care of properly. So that's, when you we talked about fun funerals last year. These would be unfun funerals. But, when you're taking care of someone's mortal remains, this is the last big event they're going to be a part of. You kind of want to do it right for those who are gone and those who are left behind. So people who said you were going to dispose of these 50 bodies and just kind of packed them in a closet, you're our Geek of the Week.
But there's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
So
this must be a cool song because you put on sunglasses.
So these are my bifocals. I left my reading glasses in my
Sunglasses inside.
My other car.
Always a great look.
Well, the other reason I'm wearing them is guess who I saw
And a
at
terrible song.
at the Howard Jones concert on Saturday at Meadowbrook.
Wait, you went?
Yeah. Yeah, it was modern English beat, Wang Chung, and Howard Jones. How could I skip that show?
Easily.
I'm not a big modern English
to Mark's
fan,
point.
but
Easily.
English beats.
That's
great.
the one.
Not going.
That's the
Dave
one
Wakeling.
band that had a reasonable song, right?
Oh, they all did very well. But you know who I saw there, Mark? You'll know.
Who?
The Tom Cruise lookalike guy.
Oh, that guy's everywhere.
He was
all
just
the time.
walking
Where
around.
was he that I saw?
He was at the
San Francisco?
No, he was
I
at.
think that might have been a different one. Didn't he throw out the first pitch?
Yeah, there was a Tom Cruise guy.
Yeah, there was a
I want to
story
say it
about
was
that.
San Francisco.
No, the local
Yeah,
guy.
because it was Top Gun night.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Well, the local guy will show up sometimes at Killer Cares, the Christmas
He's
fundraiser.
actually a really, really nice guy.
He's a very so
He's
we sat next to some women who said that one of their sisters dated him, and they said he's really shy. Apparently, he's a truck driver. He's not very outgoing, except for going to public events and pointing at
Being
people
Tom
like
Cruise,
Tom
yeah.
Cruise.
Uh-huh.
He was walking around with a George Michael lookalike who was
Well, he usually
not-
hangs out with Nicholson.
right.
Jack
I did not see
Nicholson
the Jack
lookalike.
Nicholson
Yeah.
lookalike, but she said that he's a little introverted, and that when he would show up at her house for meals, he would bring his own food because he was afraid he didn't like her food. So no risky business for this guy.
All right.
But anyways,
Did you take off the sunglasses or no?
he had him on the whole time.
No, you.
Oh, I need him to read this note from Olivia that I somehow missed.
You don't wear sunglasses inside? Blind people and assholes.
Well,
You're not blind.
Partially blind without them. But yeah, I may check. This may be all of the above, like Tom Henderson's. When you're trying to find out was she a cousin of the father or a cousin of the
Can't believe he didn't
mother.
like modern
I
English.
said both. I'll stop the world and met with you, please. If I hear that one more time,
Yeah, but that's the only good
It's a
song.
good
of the
song,
whole-
yeah.
all the groups.
Yeah.
No.
Huh?
English beat? Are you kidding me? Tenderness, that may be general public, but Mirror in the Bathroom. I mean, English beat's worth the trip alone.
No,
And Wang Chung to Live and Die in L.A. That's
No.
that's a great movie, by the way. But yeah, and anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
You were in a hurry to get out of here. Right? I just want to check. I'm going over my notes, I have my sunglasses on.
Tell us what Olivia says.
So, yeah, back in June, Olivia gave us a suggestion because Paul got us on this track that people are really digging, where you send us a suggestion of a live version of a song that's better than the studio version. And Olivia said, hey, guys, may I make a song request for Soul of Detroit? Of course you may.
Depends.
The Eagles, Those Shoes, off their 6th studio album, The Long Run, released September 24th, 1979. The
can say
album
it.
sold 8 million copies in the U.S.
You can say it, Sean.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
Those Shoes was not a single.
I'm not your puppet.
This song sounds so good in the car or on a boat with some good bass. Although it was in a boat, maybe she means good bass. We'll have to ask.
Ugh.
I don't have an interesting backstory for this song. I honestly just
Or
want
interesting
to give
jokes.
the sardonic late 80s hipster ML a chance to riff on the Eagles and that California soft rock genre, both of which seem to have a bad reputation among music snobs.
Well,
Great song.
You're full of it. I don't believe you for a second.
No, Bad Reputation.
Here's the Eagles.
Which bad reputation?
Those shoes. If Glenn Fry was alive today, he'd come over and kick your ass straight from Royal Oak, Dondero.
The Joan Jett version.
Exactly.
Can't work on these.
Is that it? I mean, do we have to listen to the whole Eagles song?
I was going to try and hit the post, but it looks like I could read War and Peace before we get there.
Well, it's the Eagles, so it won't be a short one.
I got no place to go.
Okay. I guess just sit back and try and enjoy the song.
Tell us what you're gonna do tonight, mama. There must be some place you can go. In the middle of the tall drinks and the drama, there must be someone you know. God knows you're looking good enough, but you're so smooth and the world's so rough. You might have something to lose. Oh no, pretty mama, what you gonna do in those shoes? Got those pretty little straps around your ankles. Got those shiny little chains around your heart. You got to have your independence, but you don't know just where to start. Desperation in the singles bars, and all the jerk-offs in the fancy cars. You can't believe your reviews. Oh no, you can't do that once you started wearing those shoes. Looking at you, leaning on you, tell you anything you wanna hear. They give you tablets of love. They're waiting for you, got to score you. Hendo with the shovel and so sincere. Ooh, they got the kid glove. You just want someone to talk to. They just wanna get their hands on you. You get whatever you choose. Oh no, you can't do that once you started wearing those shoes. Oh no, you can't do that once you started wearing those shoes.
Wow, wow, wow.
So
No, that was the
Olivia's-
Eagle. Oh, no, he still has the shades on, Sean.
Yeah, it's, I'm channeling Glenn Fry when he was writing shit for Miami Vice.
Thanks for the suggestion. Olivia, right?
Olivia says, and you'll be respectful when she's speaking, the Eagles were long before my time, but I have grown a fondness for them in recent years. I guess just off hearing their songs on Sirius XM in my car and then digging deeper into their catalog on Apple Music and Spotify. I also like that Glenn Fry is local to the area, born in Detroit, raised in Royal Oak, and he even attended Oakland Community College for a semester. Thankfully, he gave that up to get into the music business.
How come he's not associated with this area, like, say, Bob
Glenn
Seger?
Fry? He absolutely is.
Bob Seger, or
no, he's huge.
Or Iggy, or it's not the same.
Didn't they name the field after him before they closed down Darrow?
The street. There's a street. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
but
the school's still open.
He's not part of the lore, the common lore.
Not as much
in the same way.
Not as much.
He's
No,
just
that's
one of the
interesting.
Eagles. Bob Seger was one of Bob Seger.
No, and same with Iggy. I get it, but
Yeah.
Bob and Iggy are pretty fucking cool.
they are. They are.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
That's probably the
not
difference.
taking anything away from Glenn, but you know,
Yeah. God rest his soul.
have that cool factor.
So please send your suggestions. We have a couple more live versions that are better than studio versions. This was a little departure from that, but if you want to keep on that thread, send it to mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com and get your tickets for the Caju Cafe Soul Night 2.0. We'll have a link on our website. It's Friday, August 21st. The Smiths United will be headlining. Sean's already trying to come up with a good excuse, something like, I got to go to work. I guess he uses that.
I might have work.
You might have work. Okay, you might. And
I'll try to be there, though.
In the meantime, we'll have to,
So the last time I saw Erica was at the last year's version, which
Guys
is
are never together.
Which is kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're still trying to get that pepper spray out of your eyes, from what I understand.
What?
I got the joke.
No, I mean, I'm not acknowledging the joke, but
Okay, sorry.
It just wasn't a very good
In the meantime, lots of great stuff going on at the Caju. Tuesday, Gabe Gonzalez is going to be there. Wednesday, it's karaoke. Thursday, the Bill
why
Meyer
don't you have your
group.
shades on now? You're reading.
Because I wrote this, I can see in big letters.
you wrote it in your big cursive font.
You
Is that
printed this in the legal disclaimer.
Oh, so
font.
it's my fault.
He's projecting again.
I'm just explaining.
like he was with the pepper spray.
I'm just explaining.
Creepers always project.
You're afraid.
What's happening at the Caju? I'm sorry.
Sean's afraid to be in the same room
You
with
can put
Erica
your
because it's the same
sunglasses
person.
on. You look cool.
Friday, Before the Flood, and Super Crunch. If you love the Grateful Dead, you're going to love Super Crunch. Saturday, it's the music of Led Zeppelin, possibly performed by Led Zeppelin. I'm not saying they'll be there. I'm just not saying they're not. Could be a big reunion. Sunday, this is a big event, folks. Thornetta Davis, legend,
Yeah,
Detroit
big time.
performer.
Mm-hmm.
Her birthday bash will be this Sunday. And Monday, of course, is Muscle Madness and the Patti Smith Group. So all you can eat muscle at the Caju Cafe. To find out more what's going on, go to cajucafe.com. And we will have a link to get tickets to that Smiths United Soul Night 2.0 on our website, which is mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. And Mark, start the music. I'm very pleased to announce that we do have some new supporters of the show.
All right.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yes, we have a new soulmate, Gary, who's exercising an option.
Way to go, Gary.
That people are really enjoying, which is paying for the whole year at once. It's not that much, and you get it out of the way. But we'll take it however you want to give it to us.
Get it out of the way. It's a joy.
Well, it's just like if you eat ice cream first, you get that out of the way. Then you can get right down to those Brussels sprouts. By the way, they do have flash fried Brussels sprouts at the Caju Cafe. They're fantastic.
Speaking
Even
of the
Sean would
microphone.
like them.
What are you doing?
Even I would like Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts.
I said you'd like them.
You're the one that doesn't like mustard.
Yeah, but then you you're doing it right now. What are you looking for?
I'm just.
Are you being so weird?
Focus.
Why do you get so weird when Sean gets here?
Focus.
Because I find myself compelled.
Because he can see me.
Strangely
It was
attracted
better
to
when there was
Sean.
a.
I think you make him nervous.
It was better when the monitors, when we were separated from each other. We just could imagine each other.
Yeah,
you know?
and when we had the restraining order. We also have a one-time donor, Jamie. Jamie gave us a kind donation. And if you just want to support us from time to time, give us a little encouragement, a little incentive, you can go to mlsoulofdetroit.com. There's a button for PayPal. There's a button for Venmo. We're happy to take your dough. And speaking of
You need your
Jamie,
sunglasses again?
I may.
Put them on.
Oh, Lordy.
Yes.
Shameful.
Oh, you look so ridiculous. That's worth
There you
signing.
go.
That's worth
Those are
signing.
nice sunglasses, though.
Oh yeah, great.
So Jamie not only donated financially, donated some contests.
Thank you, Jamie.
And this is respectful. This is, Sean, take a cue. Dear Mr. Elric, I have a question about primary voting in Michigan. I recently relocated to the northwest side of the state. Not that it matters. I went to vote today because it's voting day. My question is this. Why can I not cross-party vote in primary elections? For the most part, I have no issue with it, but we have this crazy lady running for treasurer in our local election, and the only person running against her is in the same party, Republican. I had to make a decision as to what is more important, a local nut job for treasurer or voting for a Democrat in state elections. Obviously, the state races are far more important than a local treasurer, but I feel like I'm forced to sacrifice one. Well, your vote goes a lot further than the local elections.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm forced to sacrifice one for another. Anyway, the only person I thought might be able to explain this in terms of a guy that doesn't toe a party line could understand would be you. Thanks, ML.
Nice compliment.
Jamie, P.S. I'm sending some money via PayPal right now. Tell Cram to keep up the good job on the podcasts.
Thank you.
Keep it up, Cram.
I will. I try.
The only thing I can think of is that this is some anachronistic and archaic way for the parties to try and keep power. You should be able to cross over. The only reason you shouldn't be able to vote for multiple parties on your ballot is if you voted twice in the same race.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't vote in the primary, as I said at the top of the show, because I thought it was a closed primary where you had to pick a ballot. But no, this is one where once you start voting, you did have to stay within your party. So to me, I think the great thing would be there's a contested Republican gubernatorial primary. I would like to have voted in that. There was a hotly contested Democratic senatorial primary. I would like to have voted for that. I would have liked to have jumped around.
Yeah, you had to choose which one,
Yeah.
just like he had to.
You can't do it, and I suspect it's part of the party's power plays to keep their people in line. I think the other reason why is to stop troublemakers, the people who would vote for someone they don't really like just to get the worst nominee in there.
But you could do that anyway.
You can, but if you really care, like Jamie, about one particular race, if you just want to cause trouble on the other side, you couldn't. You'd have to give up the ability to vote for somebody you like on the red and blue side to cast a troublemaker vote on the other side. But Jamie illustrates why this is particularly a problem. If there's a local race that happens to be a partisan race and you really want to weigh in on it, but you're worried about who's going to be making national and international policy in Washington, you have to decide not to exercise, essentially, your democratic right in a primary because you want to weigh in on what you think is the more important race. And
but is it really? I think local elections are more important. It affects you more directly. And like you just said, your vote carries more weight locally because there's less of them.
Absolutely. And if your local treasurer screws up and your city goes bankrupt or something, then all of a sudden the city services that you rely on every day, you're not going to have. Whereas
I wish people took the local elections more, saw them as more important than like a presidential election.
Well, I mean, clearly Jamie gets it, but also wanted to vote in that Senate race. And when you think about the Senate race, everybody had the polls showing a double-digit victory for El Sayed. He won by less than 1%. 14,000 votes decided that election, and I think he won with 740,000 votes. Haley Stevens got something like 725,000
But you
votes.
said 14,000 was the difference?
14,000.
What did McMurrow get, even though she dropped out?
I think she got around 4,000 votes.
Oh,
and
okay. So it wouldn't affect it.
It's funny that you asked that because Susan says, "Dear sir," again, take a cue.
Sean, you look confused.
Sometimes I find things interesting and I'm wondering your take on these events. Mallory McMorrow decides to run for U.S. Senate along with Stevens and El Sayed. I was looking forward to hearing her and voting for her. However, after ballots had been printed, she decides to pull out of the race. I don't think much of it until El Sayed gives his victory speech, and standing next to him is McMorrow. Now, I'm not a conspiracy person, but I'm wondering if some of the 61,000 votes McMorrow got might have given a different result to the election had they gone to Stevens. I don't know why I would assume McMorrow would have been more in line with Stevens. I guess I thought she was a moderate in her thinking. I enjoy reading your articles on Sundays. Susan. Well, so here's the thing, and I've written about this. McMorrow tried to kind of walk this tightrope between being a progressive, but she did take corporate money before, and being more of an establishment Democrat, so she wasn't going to pile on Israel like El Sayed did. And being in the middle of the road, like a lot of people, she got run over. I think she was hoping that that she'd catch fire, and instead she just kind of turned to ash. But I don't think she got in there to throw the election to one side or the other. But I talked to a Democrat who I have a lot of regard for after the Mackinac Policy Conference debate, and I said, I think all the Democrats are going to try and push McMorrow out to coalesce support around Stevens. And in the end, that kind of did happen. But this person said, no, I think Stevens wants McMorrow in the race because she'll draw some of those progressive votes that won't ever vote for Stevens, but aren't quite comfortable voting for El Sayed. And I found that to be a very persuasive argument. So I don't think McMorrow was running as a spoiler, but I think the fact that she stayed on the ballot created kind of a spoiler. And I know some people who voted for her as a protest vote because they didn't like either one of the candidates. But yeah, 61,000 votes. Boy, that could have thrown the election. And if she really did want to skew the election one way or another, she would have endorsed before. And this is, did you guys notice that McMorrow endorsed after the polls closed, but before the winner was declared? What's the point of that? Yeah. You're not going to influence anybody. And if she endorses El Sayed and then Stevens has a surge and some absentee votes or something and wins, all you've done is pissed off the nut. It was kind of weird timing, but I know a lot of people who liked her. Clearly 61,000 people liked her enough to give her a vote when she said, I ain't going to make it. But I don't know, Susan, that's another complicated question. There's open interpretation. And of course the candidates, if you want to know the truth, they're probably the last person to ask for it. We have one more piece of feedback, and you can always reach us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. Or if you want to reach Sean,
shades are back on.
Just get some beans. Robert says, maybe I've watched the Wire TV show too many times. Do you think Mary Sheffield's regime purposely buried or slow walked that Monday night homicide in Swank Indian Village? It took nearly 72 hours for them to finally disclose it, just a couple hours after a Reddit thread sparked media inquiries. Relatively high-profile homicide on election eve, right after Sheffield was boasting about lowering the crime rate and homicide rate, plus the GOP and Trump keep yapping about inner-city crime and chaos. Seems like there was some motive to keep that out of the Tuesday news cycle, at the very least. Well, I'll just tell you off the rip, I have no idea. It seems like a little bit of a deep conspiracy.
I think it's giving her too much credit.
Well, isn't the whole thing with the cops that you want to solve these things in the first 48? So if you're waiting to get help from people over 72 hours, that's going to hurt. But Teresa, my wife Teresa Balls, who also works for the Free Press, wrote about this for the Free Press, and she shared pictures of the suspects. And here's the hilarious thing about that. They're wearing Duggan for Michigan t-shirts, both of them. Which suggests to me that they didn't support Mike Duggan's independent bid for governor, necessarily.
Just too much merch.
But what I take out of it is, when the race was over, Duggan had boxes and boxes of t-shirts and didn't want to ship them off to some third world company, so they dumped them in the Salvation Army bin, and these guys.
Or anybody could have who had them, I suppose. But yeah.
Yeah. But that was kind of a funny little political.
You look confused, Sean. What's up?
So.
Oh, nothing. I'm not confused. I'm not confused.
Well, it's great to have Sean back physically, if not in spirit.
Straight from.
No, I was just trying to be quiet.
Oh yeah,
straight from Lions HQ, as witnessed by.
You're turning over a new leaf.
I love that he's still wearing his lanyard.
I forgot to take it off when I got in. I said to Marc,
I said leave it on,
and he's like, leave it on. I said, okay.
Look at that. It proves that you're part of the media.
I guess so. The dreaded
we
media.
needed proof.
No, it's good to be back. Good to be in the studio.
Tom Henderson tried to be like in the know guy. He looked down and she's like, "Hey, I love your stuff, Sean Windsor. You are one of my favorite sports writers." And he looked at me and said, "I don't know who the hell this guy is."
He didn't say
total
anything.
piker.
Yeah,
it was a successful trip, though. You did Big Ten media days.
Yeah,
and then you saw the Tigers
coaches. And then the Tigers for 9 games,
fire.
3 cities.
Yeah. Sean got the Tigers on a winning streak.
It's a long trip.
Well done, son.
Yeah,
hey, can I ask a question? Like a newspaper question?
Actually, Sean's the one who says, "Can I ask a question?"
When they, okay, I'm going to ask a question. Okay. When you write on a West Coast trip, does that get more views because most people don't stay up for the game? Is that
it's all depending on what's happening with whatever team's out there. If there's interest, they're on a winning streak. They had an exciting young pitcher make his season debut after 14 months being gone with Tommy John surgery, and Jackson Jobe throwing 100 miles an hour in the first inning. There's a trade. Tarek Skubal gets traded to the Dodgers. That happened when I was out there. So all this stuff was happening, and they're winning.
Casey Mize got traded.
So the numbers were ridiculous.
Max Clark made his debut.
Exactly. The numbers were ridiculous.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest.
I believe it. Yeah.
Like crazy.
Yeah.
And
I'm not surprised.
And maybe not in the moment. So I'd write an early notebook, which would post close to dinner time here, sometimes even later than that. And that do okay. The game story would do fine, but it would roll over into the next morning because they were winning. Nobody wants to read about the loss necessarily. Football is a little different that way. Mm-hmm. With baseball, there are too many games. But the game story would do well, and then I would write a column after that. So I was writing 3 things, and generally a couple of them the next day would go bonkers. So, yeah.
Interesting.
People love to get that vitamin SW. They're loving having Sean Windsor back in there.
It's not me necessarily. It's the Tigers.
I was being sarcastic. Your stuff sucks.
It's the interest in the Tigers.
Oh,
it's
the
not
Tigers.
Me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter who was out there doing it.
And as far as...
Could we have AI do it? Could we have
probably.
A robot?
As far as Big Ten Media Days, do you ever really get anything out of that? Because this is what I hate about preseason.
Pat Fitzgerald won Big Ten Media Days. And Michigan State's ranked 16th.
Yeah.
It's like...
No, you don't get a lot out. What you do get is
everything's great. Right?
They have new... that's true every year.
Yeah.
There were 2 new coaches. Both schools needed different things from their new coaches. One needed their coach to sound like an adult, and he did. The other needed a coach to sound like he cared and had some enthusiasm and understood that Michigan was their rival, and he did. And yeah, so they were exactly what the schools got exactly what they wanted.
But sometimes
in that moment,
sometimes they introduce athletes that are somewhat inspirational, where you're sort of like, wow. I remember Kirk Cousins addressed the Big Ten Media Day years ago, and people were like, who is this guy? Wow, he's really a great leader. And now,
and then 15 he gets in a
years
fight
later,
with Max Clark or Max Crosby.
Yeah. Do you want to fight Max Crosby? I don't think so. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, but the Big Ten Media Days are kind of But this year it was interesting because Michigan State both had new coaches, and then it was on the baseball, and now it's back with my buddies here, and I can't believe football's about to start.
You want to hear my football
catch
prediction?
Up with your buddies after the show?
Here's my football prediction for all 3 fan bases: Lions, Spartans, Wolverines. I think they're all going to have disappointing seasons.
You might be right.
I just feel that way. I think Michigan's schedule's too tough. There's like 4 losses on there, which would be they'll finish like 6th or 7th in the Big Ten. Spartans are rebuilding, and the Lions just can't get rid of this injury bug. I don't know. I hope to be pleasantly surprised. So maybe I'm lowering expectations.
The Lions have talent, but you're right.
They also have the abduction bug, don't they?
They what?
They also have the accused of abduction bug.
Aliens? Abduction, you mean?
No. Wasn't the defensive back caught up in some scandal
where
he was?
Is that why you're shaking that thing? Is that because you're going to get abducted later by the aliens, and they wanted you to drink that to some kind of prep?
No, that's
like a colonoscopy prep. Is that what that is?
That's why I'm wearing the butt plug.
Yeah, you shake.
Oh.
Yeah, I got you.
No.
Okay.
It's just lemons. It's just I put lemons in a thermos.
I got you. I got you.
Cool. Went in on a strong note.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's that blast of energy Sean brought in here.
I know.
Last time we had this much excitement, his stomach was burping. How are you feeling, by the way? I mean, you're working. You're working like a dog. And you look good. I mean, Soulmates, you can check it out. Sean,
okay. I'm doing okay.
Looks like he's put on a little more weight. He's got good color.
I'm doing okay. Yeah,
that's a spiffy haircut.
I put some weight back.
You got the Sally Jesse Raphael starter
I keep
glasses.
losing, and I put it back. I lose. I put it back. But yeah. As long as I don't put too much.
That's
back.
called pooping.
As long as I don't put too much back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they were talking about you in Italy.
I don't know who they is.
The Italians.
The Comoites.
Let me tell you something.
You know it's just gonna be a bad joke.
No, let me tell you something I found about Italians going back to 1991 when I worked in a youth hostel. They know and they love the Pistons. We were on a bus coming back from Portofino, and Teresa was talking to these young Italian guys, and she's thinking, "Oh, these young Italian guys, they like the gray fox." And I'm thinking, like, they just miss their mother. And they're like, "Where are you from?" And you're like, "Oh, we are from Rome." I think that's how they sounded. And she said, "Well, we're from Detroit." Like, "Oh, the Pistons." the Pistons, I don't know what it is. They're like huge, and we've never had, one of these Pistons Italian pro ball players who kind of captures the imagination like other
Carlos
teams
Delfino.
have.
No, he was Argentinian. Sorry,
Mm.
the Delfino threw me. But the Italians, they took residence in Argentina, and you know the story.
I think you're thinking of
the Germans too.
guys, yeah.
But the Italians were there too. Let's be real.
I went to Spain once.
On behalf of the podcast, I want to apologize to all the former Axis nations who have just been slurred by Sean Windsor.
I was in Spain once, and I started talking to the security guard at the.
Well, they're fascists there too.
Oh, they were for a long time.
Yeah. Francisco.
Yeah, Generalissimo. But talking to the security
now who's
guard
getting
there,
twitchy?
he was a huge Pistons fan. I'm like, why are you a huge Pistons fan? And he just went, bad boys.
I was just going to say.
That's all he said, bad boys.
It's the bad boys.
Well, in 91 it was, and they loved Isaiah, but why, how do the Pistons resonate now? They're just kind of ascending.
Passed down, maybe?
Yeah.
Posters, old gear, something? I don't know.
Yeah, documentaries.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't forget the 2004 Pistons, too, which...
Oh, yeah, Chauncey.
Going to work, which kind of...
Big band.
They're kind of an offshoot of the Bad
Fro.
Boys. Yeah.
Fear the Fro.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Chucky Atkins.
No superstars, just a whole team. Yeah. They're very likable. And they beat the glamorous Lakers, right? So
Exactly.
Oh, and if they'd only covered Big Shot Bob, if friggin' Sheed had got out there, it would have been back to anyway. Okay, now we're getting into the trauma. Sean, it's great to have you back.
Good to be back.
It was fun to be here with Tom Henderson. Check out the bonus episode when it posts, and please make plans to come see us on Friday, February 21st at the Casual Cafe. We'll have a link to get tickets on our website, and I am in the process of producing some super cool swag just for our soulmates. It's not too late to become a soulmate. For as little as $5 a month, you can become a member of our Patreon supporters group, and you'll be one of the soulmates, and we will take care of you. I don't want to promise any more than that. Sean may be doing some rough trade behind Muscle Beach, but that's to be determined. No?
No.
Okay. All right.
Couldn't tell if your camera was frozen or if you were.
No.
Sean is just pausing for poise. Sean, do you want to?
You can do it.
You want to? You really?
Yeah.
It's all me.
Go ahead.
It's my turn.
As long as someone does it.
Oh, Cyrus, will you take us out, please?
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Phony, below the belt journalism, that's what it is. Not below the belt, right in the gut, Mr. Boot.
Human interest.
Nothing you've ever seen before has the tremendous human interest of
The Soul of Detroit.
For here is a startling story of human emotions and human desires, played against the most exciting fight to save a man's life ever depicted
in podcasting.